Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever New Music News Friday here on the Groove Line with your boy Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you wonderful people are doing well out there. It's Friday. We should all be happy. Ready for the weekend. I mean, I'm ready for the weekend. It's been a long week at work. I'm actually doing this on my lunch break. I'm actually lucky enough to be able to do this on my lunch break because I work from home. So, shout out to my boss for making this happen. But yes, this is our first New Music News Friday. Now, what that means is that every Friday, now, I haven't decided if this is going to be the time we usually go, 12 o'clock, but usually every Friday from here on out, it's going to be New Music News Friday, where we talk about some new music that folks will enjoy. And then we'll talk about the music news of the week, a couple of music items of interest that might catch your eye. So, if you are new to On the Groove Line, we appreciate you for tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, do not be afraid to send a super chat. What that is you can drop a donation, and it doesn't have to be sizable. It can be $1, it can be $2, it can be five, or if you have $10 million, we'll take that too. But yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't be afraid to send a super chat. If you're watching us on Facebook, be sure to leave a star because we get paid for the stars as well. So we do. So once again, this is the brand new Music News Friday for those of you who are just tuning in. So we're going to talk about some new music that's hot on the table, and then we'll talk about some music news that's even hotter. So let's get started, shall we? Let's get started with Tank. Tank. Oh wow, I meant to put that on the screen. There he is. Okay, so Tank has a new record out this week, and if you guys aren't familiar, Tank is one of the R&B leaders of yesterday and today, pretty much, and he's got a new one out called Simply Yes, but it samples Say Yes by Floetry. It's a song where Tank, talks his usual, bedroom braggadocio about, how he's going to take a woman through there and that she might want to fly out and all of that good stuff. And again, sampling a record that is less than 25 years old is hella risky. I mean, you could probably say that about a lot of records that, were sampled back in the day. Because those of you who are old school hip hop heads, you guys probably remember hearing, stuff like, the Funky 4+1 sampling Rescue Me by a Taste of Honey, or even, the original, Rapper's Delight sampling Good Times by Chic. Those two were on the charts back to back. But I always find it interesting that, records that and songs that I literally came of age to, because Floetry was heavy on my playlist in college. And I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. There is a 3-song sort of run that Floetry has that you could put on your after hours playlist. I call it the Holy Trinity. You can start with Say Yes, you go into Getting Late, and you end it with Lay Down from the Flowology album. The first 2 songs are from Floetic. This on third album, the third song, Lay Down, is from Flowology. So you put Say Yes, Getting Late, and Lay Down in that order, and you can run those on repeat, and guaranteed you, your significant other, or whoever you are spending that particular evening with will have a good night. I guarantee it. But yes, back to this Tank song. Sampling a song that is literally about 23, 24 years old is quite risky because we've reached, I think the early 2000s was when we started to reach that point of people being disenchanted with the way R&B was starting to sound at that point, because you had great songs that kids of my age, we tore up the dance floor to Yeah by Usher in 2004, make no mistake about it. But I don't think people were ready to hear Usher on a crunk beat, older folks will say. But that was the way R&B went. R&B always started to kind of, devolve, not devolve. I don't want to say devolve because that's a nasty word. I'll say it just sort of, went off the beaten path to use hip hop beats and rappers as guests on the song. And for a long time it's worked, but I think at the same time you have to go back to what made R&B great. And I think that's what we're starting to see with a lot of these niche artists today. And I think the important thing people need to know is when you come looking for music in 2026, the radio should not be your first stop. The video channels should not be your first stop. There are internet websites, there's R&B Radar, there's Soul Bounce, there's a few other sites. On the Groove Line is going to be eventually one of those websites where you can come and check out new R&B that caters to your taste. Like, you don't have to listen, you don't have to rely on the radio to, make an informed decision about what you want to listen to. If you are interested in, a certain sound, it's out there. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I do want to talk about this one important news item right here. And this is the fact that Jermaine Dupri has launched a lawsuit against Sony Records, who was his parent company when he started So So Def way back in 1992. JD is suing Sony for nearly $18 million in back royalties, which is a lot of money over the course of about 30 something years. JD alleges that the contracts that he signed with Sony when he got his label deal with So So Def in 92 were very predatory, and it kept him from from royalties that include songs like We Belong Together by Mariah Carey, his entire catalog with Escape, The Brat, Bow Wow, and all of those folks. So this is a very interesting lawsuit that is coming about in 2026. And I think it's important to note that the older artists and musicians in black music have tried to warn the young folks that these contracts are raggedy as all get out. I mean, don't forget, I had Deanna Williams on the show, the mother of Black Music Month, and she said that we make all the music, but we don't get all the money. And that's because these record label contracts are very predatory. The publishing and master side of it, it's a lot that goes into the music industry. And for somebody as important as Jermaine Dupri to challenge these titans, as it were, because Sony is one of the biggest media giants in the world. And Sony's already gotten a bad rap this week because when they announced that they were canceling all physical editions of PlayStation games, people absolutely hit the roof. So Sony is in big trouble right now, not just in the music business, but in the entertainment industry. So Jermaine Dupri being able to say, hey, I'm not going to take this lying down. Y'all owe me at least $18 million. Where's my money? That hopefully will inspire a lot of other black label executives and musicians to say, hey, go back to their contracts and look over and say, hey, yo, I missed this. So, y'all need to run me my coins. And Jermaine Dupri is one of those guys who he's a lifer in the music industry. His father, Michael, was an executive for a long, long time. In fact, they pretty much ran So So Def together back in those days. So Jermaine knows where the bodies are buried, so to speak. So if he really wanted to make this difficult on Sony Entertainment, he could. And he should. Because if I look at my account and I know that some money's missing, I'm going to call my bank and check on it. And Jermaine Dupri says he's missing about $18 million. Now, I don't know about y'all, and I know it ain't true in my case, but none of us can afford to just leave $18 million laying on the table. So Jermaine Dupri suing Sony, I hope he gets the results that he deserves, not just for him, but for his artists. Because, I mean, Escape is still touring, fractured as they are. Bow Wow is still out there. Bow Wow had a really good Tiny Desk concert, by the way, if you didn't see it. Who else was on that label? Well, the Brat has moved into radio. She's on Ricky Smiley's radio show. She's probably the funniest person on Ricky Smiley's radio show, for keeping it a buck. So you got, artists that are depending on these royalties, and $18 million, no matter how it's divvied up among the artists, that's still a lot of money. That's life-changing money for a lot of these folks who would probably like to sit down, who would like to stop touring, who would like to stop putting out records and different things of that nature. So I hope Jermaine Dupri's lawsuit works out to his benefit, because you can't just sit idly by and let $18 million go, especially when you know that it's your work. Like, Jermaine Dupri is one of the greatest hit makers of all time. I mean, we already know what he did with So So Def. We already know what he's done with Mariah Carey. We already know his partnership with Janet. Jermaine Dupri, he's not a Johnny come lately by any stretch of the imagination. So this lawsuit, hopefully it will change a lot of things, not just for Jermaine, not just for So So Def, not just for his artists, but black musicians in the industry as a whole. So that is the takeaway for me from this, is that I'm glad Jermaine Dupri is stepping up and saying that I want to make this right for my artists and for myself, and hopefully for other people in the industry, so they don't get robbed like I got robbed. And that I think that's the key point, is admitting, just coming to grips with the fact that, hey, you got robbed. And I mean, I think for people who are used to being in control, especially music producers and record execs and label heads, they're not used to saying, hey, I'm the one who's the victim here. I'm usually the victor. But yeah, for Jermaine Dupri to say, hey man, y'all owe me $18 million, where's my money? That hopefully will set an example for other black musicians and industry figures to say, yo, run me the coins. And definitely shouts out to Jermaine Dupri for taking on a world giant in Sony, who again is in a lot of trouble with a lot of people. So Sony better start coming up off them coins ASAP. So before we get to our next new song and artist that I want to discuss, if you guys are so interested, I have a book out. I write novels in my spare time, and this is my novel. It is called A Widower's Gift. It is a Christmas holiday romance. It is available on Kindle and in PDF format. So I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can check that out if you so choose. It's only $2.99, and the story is about a widowed father. His daughter is a senior in high school. She's going off to college. He doesn't know what he's going to do with his life after she's gone, because she's going like 1,000 miles away to college on a volleyball scholarship. He owns a bookstore, and a woman who used to live in the town that they both shared, but they never grew up knowing each other, she comes into the bookstore. They meet. Well, the daughter is nosy, so she makes them meet, and they have fun around the Christmas holiday. So if you are so interested, you can feel free to check out A Widower's Gift. There's the link. It is only $2.99 to purchase. And if you do purchase, be sure to leave a review, because that helps authors out a lot. So that's the commercial portion of the show. Now, the next artist and song I want to talk about were artistes. This is a very interesting group of sisters. These are the Womack sisters, BG, Kucha, and Zemani. They are Linda Womack and Cecil Womack's daughters. Now, do I have to run down the Womack family tree, which is more like a wreath? Sure, let's do it. Okay, so Sam Cooke, he was killed in shady instances outside of a motel in California in 1964. Bobby Womack was his protege. Bobby Womack married Sam's wife. And Linda had already come along at this particular point in time. So Sam's wife and Bobby had a relationship, were married for a long time, but that ended up breaking up. And Cecil Womack, who of course is Bobby Womack's brother, eventually takes up with Linda. But this is after Cecil lost Mary Wells to his brother Curtis. You got that? There's a lot going on with that Womack and Cooke family tree. You know what I'm saying? But yes, the Womack sisters, they are a trio who sing just as heavenly as their mother and father did. You may remember Linda and Cecil had a song back in 83 or 84 called Baby, I'm Scared of You. And I'm not going to sing it because, as we know, I can't sing. But it is one of the better, hidden gems of that early 80s R&B era. But yes, the Womack sisters, they have a new album coming out. It's their first album. It comes out August 14th. They have a new single called, Should I Let You? It's called If I Let You, excuse me. And it sounds like something the Supremes would have done. It even sounds kind of Ronettes-esque in a way. So if you are looking for artists who are not making the same old trap beats and, synthesizer-based sounds, you should listen to the Womack sisters, because they've put out some really good music since they got together. Well, they turned professional, shall we say, in 2022. But this is going to be their first full album on Daptone Records. It is self-titled, by the way. So if you look up the Womack sisters on Spotify or YouTube or Tidal, you can find the songs. But yes, I think If I Let You is probably going to be the one that breaks them nationwide, because this is a song that every woman, regardless of who they love or who they're interested in, can relate to, because this is a song where the Womack sisters is talking about, if I let you touch me, if I let you, love me, if I let you take me out on a date and all of that stuff. I mean, it's very bubblegum pop, Motown sound stuff. Like I said, it's very 60s sounding, and that's not in a negative way. But I hope that people, understand that you don't have to listen to the same stuff. I mean, if you're dissatisfied with today's music, you can go listen to something else. Always. You can always go listen to something else. So if that is what you are into, I highly recommend you check out the Womack sisters, because again, they come from a rich family lineage. Again, this is Linda and Cecil Womack's daughters. This, by extension, makes them Bobby Womack's and nieces and Sam Cooke's granddaughters. Whew, that's a mouthful. But trust me, you'll enjoy the Womack sisters if you like good singing and you like instrumentation that sounds like if you were a boomer or a Gen Xer in that era that you grew up in. So, yes, please go listen to the Womack sisters. You can find them on all manners of, YouTube, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music. They're not hard to find. And I think you'll like them if you listen to them. So, our main topic for today is dun dun dun. So, if you guys missed this little bit of a controversy, uh, there's a song out by former city girl Young Miami called "Spend That Sugar Honey Iced Tea," and it is a song dedicated to boosters. If you're not familiar with what boosters are or what boosting is, it's basically shoplifting. So, there's a song out there that is considered the song of the summer that is for, shoplifters. And one person who is not a fan of Spend That is India Arie. Now, we all know India Arie has a legacy of, uplifting, earthy soul music to her credit. And I'm not going to sit here and say that she's wrong for calling out, the music, but at the same time, I want India Arie to be honest about why she does this every time there's a certain kind of record that pops. Because if you guys remember during the pandemic, the big controversy during the pandemic was WAP by Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. And that was a song about the shall we say the health and well-being and arousal of a woman's love below. Yeah, that's what WAP was about. And people lost their minds. Like they had Senate hearings about WAP. They had people from all walks of life, all walks of life, all walks of life commenting about WAP. And while I get that 2020 and 2026, some things are better left, behind closed doors, but we live in a different time now. We live in a time where women and artists, and especially women artists, are not beholden to the same double standards as they were back in the day. Because granted, let's be real, there's always been controversial music, when it comes to sex and dating and different things like that. Never forget, Betty Wright's hit song "Tonight Is the Night" was about a love affair with a family friend while she was a teenager. You mean to tell me there weren't any Senate hearings about that? There should have been. Somebody should have been prosecuted, and it wasn't Betty. Never forget, Billy Paul had a great song called "Let's Make a Baby," and the Reverend Jesse Jackson was not happy about "Let's Make a Baby." So we've had controversy in Black music for years. Remember, if you're not new to this channel, I did an episode about Screaming Jay Hawkins' version of "I Put a Spell on You," and that the NAACP were absolutely aghast that this dude was making cannibalistic witch doctor type sounds at the end of the record. And this was in 1956. So we're talking about 70 years ago. My mother was like a toddler at that time. So, this is nothing new under the sun, people. This is not, controversy, controversial takes on music are nothing new. Now, granted, there's a lot that you could take Young Miami to task for. For one, when she was part of the City Girl, she mentioned that if her son was gay, she would beat him. Now, as a straight dude, I find the way we treat our LGBTQ friends and family to be reprehensible, and we need to be better. So that's one thing you could be upset with Young Miami about. Another thing you can be upset with Young Miami about is the fact that she wrote a letter of clemency for Sean P. Diddy Combs. And that dude was into some wild criminal type activity on a freak level. And this woman said, in a court of law, Judge, this is a good man. She said that about Diddy. So that's two things you could take Young Miami to task for. What you cannot take Young Miami to task for, however, is the evolution of music into survival mode, or just saying whatever you want to say in a certain type of way in the music, because that's been going on forever. Never forget, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. when the godmother of rock and roll had a song back out in the 40s with Lucky Millender's band talking about she wants a tall, skinny papa. Now, if you have been around any women, any group of women for a long amount of time, women who prefer men, they always say that the tall, skinny dudes are where it's at. And I don't think I need to say anything further. So if Sister Rosetta Tharpe over 80 years ago made a song about wanting the dude who was tall and skinny because he was, bringing the hammer, I don't think, a song about people shoplifting is that far of a reach, especially in 2026. Have you seen these prices? Man, I can't even get a pack of ground turkey for under $10 anymore. And I like making turkey patty sandwiches for breakfast in the morning. These prices are crazy. People might need to start stealing stuff. But all jokes aside, I think I get what India Arie's point was, but I still think that wasn't the time and the place to do it. Because like I said, I feel like she only does this when certain records pop. Like, I mean, I know there was a controversy around Renaissance. I know there was a controversy around WAP. I know there's always going to be a record or a song, no matter the generation, no matter the genre, that is going to get people up in arms. And this summer, it is Young Miami's Turn on the Wheel with Spin That. And granted, as somebody who listened to hardcore rap as a teenager, DMX, God rest his soul, DMX was a hero of mine because I was a kid. I mean, I know you probably think, wow, Chris is really cool. I wasn't cool back in high school. I went to all black high school, and I was probably one of the most least popular kids on campus. I was probably like a nerd and a geek, and just unpopular beyond belief. And I got bullied a little bit. And DMX was my hero because he lashed out on records for me. But I never did any of the things that DMX said he was going to do on records. DMX talked about killing people. DMX talked about robbing people. DMX talked about blowing up a police station. Crime Story is probably one of his best records, by the way. And there's also a song on DMX's first album that I can't listen to this day. X is Coming. And if you're a DMX fan, you know what part of X is Coming I'm talking about. Like there's a lyric on that album, on that song that just, chills me to the bone. It chilled me to the bone when I was 16. It chills me to the bone now that I'm 44. So I think I think people need to understand that you have choices in your life and whatever you decide to do. And musicians should not factor into any choice that you make unless it's a positive one. Like granted, you listen to What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, that influenced an entire generation in a positive way. You listen to There's a Riot Going On by Sly and the Family Stone, that encouraged people in a positive way. You listen to Optimistic by Songs of Blackness. We still love that song to this very day. That song is 35 years old. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know Optimistic is 35 years old? Where does the time go? Shouts out to Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Ann Nesby, rest in peace, Big Jim Wright. Man, Optimistic, like I don't know how, just off the topic for a second, I don't know how you cannot listen to Optimistic and not feel better about life. That is a song that will lift up even the most moribund of spirits. As long as you keep your head to the sky, you can win. See, that type of stuff. Like, I mean, granted, positive music is designed to influence people. Negative music is just designed for people to rant. That's my personal opinion. Like, you got a song talking about, where my scamming ass Negroes at. That is for the person who has had to do this. And granted, people will say, yes, that's a choice to steal. Yes, that's a choice to scam. Yes, that's a choice to commit fraud. It is. It all is. And this is not the place where I'm saying that any of that is cool. Because the police don't find it cool. There are a lot of people who have been wrongfully done by scammers and fraudsters that hate this song, and for good reason. But I don't think it's cool for India Arie to sort of, even though she said, she never said boycott the song, she still had negative feelings towards the song. I would think as an artist capable of making your own statements, that if you felt the need to counteract the song that is just so negative, that is just so poisonous, that is just so nefarious, that you could create a alternative that is more positive, more uplifting, more influential, more focused, more motivational. That would be my thought as an artist. I wouldn't try to compete if I mean, like, granted, I can't rap and I can't sing. I can't compete, but my mind would not be, I got to, do what Chris Brown is doing. I got to do what Usher is doing. I got to do what Future's doing. I got to do what Drake is doing. I got to do what Kendrick Lamar is doing. No, I would try to find my own lane as an artist. And that's what's important. There are so many different people in the world that if you are confident in yourself as a musician, no matter what type of music you play or sing or rap, you're going to find an audience if it's good enough. And there are a lot of people out there who are literally making music for the people they want to make music for, and they are doing well. I mean, look at Alex Isley. My God. She's never coasted off of the fact that she's Ernie Isley's daughter. She created her own lane, a very successful lane, as she is touring in Europe as we speak. And Alex Isley, she's not Beyonce. She's not Rihanna. She's not Kehlani. She's not Cardi B. But she sings her behind off, and she's a classy, good-looking woman. She's found an audience. You got to be confident in yourself as an artist to find an audience, so you don't have to be coming out here saying negative things about other people's art. Because as much as people, and granted, I use the term loosely with spin that, but it's art. It's performance art. It's a song about scammers. And we know a scammer or two in our lives. We do. We absolutely know a scammer or two, unfortunately. So, we all have that one relative who always has something planned, whether you or the person they're targeting know it or not. So, this song is basically an ode to the people that are using nefarious means to get by. And there are a lot of nefarious people getting by these days. Look, the president of the United States just had to pay $5.8 million to somebody because he raped the lady, and he's never going to face any real criminal or legislative repercussions from it. Like, the president of the United States is an adjudicated rapist, dog. Like, that is bang the gavel factual. That ain't something that can be disputed. Like, he lost the criminal case. He lost the civil case. Well, he lost the civil case. Let me clear that up. There never was a criminal case, but he lost the civil case twice over. So even though he beat the criminal case, there was a civil court that found, yeah, he did this to this lady. He owes her $6 million. So there are worse people in the world than a young single mother from Miami, Florida, making a song about stealing stuff. That's just my take on the matter. Like, I would love to know what you guys think. If you have any thoughts and opinions on, the whole controversy, would love to know what y'all think. But I think that's going to do it. I think this was a pretty good start for us on a live Friday. It was very last minute. I'm not ashamed to say that this is, probably going to be, this is probably going to be the worst the show is going to be. So we got 30 minutes out of it. But my goal is to talk to you guys and have you guys come in and comment for 45 minutes to an hour every Friday. That's the goal. But this is a nice way to start. And if you guys are so interested, again, feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can like us on Facebook at On The Groove Line. Just search for On The Groove Line. We are also on Instagram. Instagram account is On The Groove Line, ONTHEGRRO. I almost said TIGR like Tigger. No, but our Instagram is On The Groove Line, all one word, ONTHEGROOVELINE. You can also find us on Blue Sky, Twitter at the same address. So yes, that is going to do it for our first New Music News Friday. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you catch this on the rebound, don't be afraid to leave a comment on Facebook or YouTube. You probably need to go to YouTube because for some strange reason, my live streams are not showing up on the Facebook page, but I'm going to correct that eventually. But yes, that is going to do it for this first edition of New Music News Friday. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more new episodes on our YouTube channel. We got MFSB Monday. We're going to talk about the Love Is the Message album on Monday. Can't wait for you guys to watch that episode. And then we got a couple other things to discuss during the week. And then we'll be back here live next Friday to talk about more new music and more music news on a Friday. So thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of On The Groove Line. And until the next time we ride, please have a good weekend. And until we ride again, may you find the groove or may the groove find you. We gone.